How's it going, Fireside Yankees family? Today you're with Alex and Nick, and we're discussing 6 top Yankee bullpen arms preparing to make a reasonable amount of money in 2023. Now, overspending on the bullpen seems to be a losing strategy in today's baseball. I think that you could get some really valuable pieces at a really reasonable price point. The Yankees have managed to keep their bullpen at a pretty great price point altogether. Tommy Kahnle might actually be making some of the most money, and he hasn't pitched barely in 3 years. So we looked at 6 guys, and I put together an article on the Empire Sports Media website if you want to go check that out as well. Taking a look at the projected salaries of these guys. Yeah, so, this is interesting, right? This is a really good situation. I thought this was a really good storyline to kind of talk about because Brian Cashman has done a phenomenal job, and with Matt Blake as well, putting together a bullpen that, in my opinion, and Ryan, we discussed this a couple of days ago, is one of the best in baseball. And even without Scott Efros, they have arms that are capable of being some of the best in the game. You look at Jonathan Loaisiga, you look at Wandy Peralta, the impact he had last year, Clay Holmes, so many great players. And that's not even mentioning guys like Ron Marinaccio, that's your guy, Greg Weissert, who's preparing to take a big step forward. There's so much young talent that they haven't really even seen the best of just yet. So I'm excited to kind of see what they can extrapolate on with these guys' talents, but also at the same time, keeping it at a very minimal price point. As you can see on the screen, $11.65 million for 6 impact players. That is a ridiculously low number considering Aaron Hicks is about making the same amount alone, and you get 6 impact bullpen arms for his cost, which is a pretty interesting comparison to make, Nick. But when you're looking at this bullpen, we haven't gotten your take on this bullpen yet. Ryan and I obviously big fans of what they've built. What are you thinking so far about it?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, for the first time in a long time, I feel like the Yankees have kind of shifted away from spending money on the bullpen. Like, you look in days in the past, and it's like, oh, the Yankees assigned this guy and this guy to long-term extensions. I mean, we gave Britton some money. We gave Chapman a lot of money. And now you look, it's like, oh, well, these guys are more or less all homegrown, and we're saving money at a position of need, at a strength, which is crazy to me. The Yankees bullpen is very, very good, and yet it doesn't cost like anything. Like you said, Kahnle's making 11 or 12 million for the next 2 years. These 6 guys are making 11 million this year combined. And 3 of these guys aren't even making $1 million, or 2 of them aren't even making $1 million, excuse me. And those two are Weissert and Marinaccio. And a lot of people are like, hey, I don't know if Weisert's going to make the team. Is he going to be in the rotation or in the bullpen? We have a lot of other guys.
Nonsense.
It's like Greg Weissert has one of the best pitches out of the entire bullpen. And his fastball is not bad either. So it's like you give him a couple more reps. You let Matt Blake work his magic with him. And those are 6 of the best bullpen arms in baseball. Like, I firmly stand by that. This is the best pen in baseball. It's not even close. And it doesn't cost anything, like, at all. Like, and no more Chapman. So it's even better. So just a win-win all around.
No more Britton, no more Miguel Castro. And let's go through each one of these guys and kind of discuss the projected salary and what they offer this team. So we'll start with Wandy Peralta. That's the first guy started with in the article. He's projected to make $3 million, 30 years old, coming off a phenomenal 2022 season, 2.72 ERA, 3.61 xFIP, 7.51 strikeouts per 9, and pitched 56.1 innings. So, he's a guy that turned into a high leverage relief arm last year for the Yankees. And personally, I think he's gonna run it back. And at $3 million, that's an absolute steal of a contract for him. And, a lefty arm, he's got that diversity. He came in the ALCS and shut down the Astros in a big high leverage situation. This is a guy that we can trust. And, at $3 million, think about this. You could put Wandy Peralta in the closer role, and he'd probably be very good for us. I think Clay Holmes has that lockdown for now, but I trust Wandy Peralta and Jonathan Loaisiga. We have 3 guys who could really be really great closers in 2023. Peralta being just like an addition to the unit is ridiculous, right? This is a very, very good player at a reasonably cost contract, and he's young at 30 years old, and he's coming off one of his best seasons to date. What are your thoughts on Wandy? I think we all agree that he's a fan favorite.
He's the man. He does everything and then some. Like, I mean, you look at, first of all, what we got Randy for. It was from Mike Tauchman. It was more or less just like, we don't really have a place for Tauchman. And a lot of people were like, oh, I like Mike Tauchman. He was a good corner outfielder. He had something special. We could have gotten more. No. Wandy Peralta is a top 15, top 10 lefty bullpen arm in baseball. And then you look at what he did in the postseason last year. And he pitched in every single game in the postseason. Like, he was the most reliable guy on the team other than Garrett Cole and Jonathan Loaisiga. And it's like, it sucks that they were like bullpen arms that were our best players in the postseason. But Wandy just did everything and then some. And he goes out there and consistently does his job. His changeup is elite. I always talk about Ron Marinaccio's changeup. I'm going to do it again in this episode. But Wandy's changeup had the same exact -8 run value as Marinaccio. They were tied for the same run value per pitch in baseball. Like, people got to give Wandy more credit. He's not the flashiest guy. He's not going to get a lot of strikeouts, but he keeps the ball on the ground, gets a lot of soft contact. And if we're being honest, he is the second coming of Britain for this team. Big ground ball pitcher, lots of soft contact. It's awesome. I love it. Like, I don't know. Cashman gets a lot of gripe and a lot of shit for some of the deals he's made in the past, but this deal is one of the best he's made, getting Wandy.
Yes, I would agree. I think that Wandy, he finds really good gems in the bullpen. Cashman, I'll give him credit for that. And I know that's more of a scouting thing. Yeah, I think that's more of a. I'm not gonna sit here and say like Cashman is the guy behind all thing Blake, and I think a lot of their scouts probably target these guys. He just gets the deal done. So I think that ultimately when you're looking at this bullpen, Wandy is a big piece of that $3 million steal. Ron Marinaccio, I believe they increased his, the MLB minimum salary to $720K this year. So Marinaccio at $720K, 27 years old, had a 2.05 ERA across 44 innings last year, 11.45 strikeouts per nine with an 81.3% left on base rate. Is one of the best changeup in baseball. Definitely on the team. 18% more horizontal movement than the average pitcher's four-seam fastball. Averaged out at almost 95 miles an hour with 45% more horizontal movement. This guy has a big role coming up for the Yankees in 2023. He is a guy that is ice cold. You look at him in high leverage moments, he looks like he's not even phased. He looks like it's just another day out dominating and doing his thing. And I think that he had that dead arm a little bit. I think he had that shin injury late in the season. But I think the Yankees probably find ways to mitigate some of that workload across the board. Guys like Domingo Germán, guys like Clark Schmidt. I wouldn't be surprised if they had those fill in and try to just mitigate fatigue for the rotation and bullpen, especially a guy like Clark Schmidt who can kind of serve both roles. So I am very excited to see what they do with Ron Marinaccio, but another guy who I view as a high leverage arm in this scenario.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this point, Marinaccio, it's crazy because you look at how Ron's probably going to be used next season, and he's probably going to be the guy that's pitching a lot of the 5th, 6th, 7th innings. Like, he's probably not going to be one of those guys that the team immediately looks at and says, hey, bottom of the 8th, we need 3 outs, we're up by 1. And yet it's crazy because, like you just said, he could be a high leverage guy very easily. On like 95% of other teams, Ron Marinaccio would probably be their setup guy. And yet for this bullpen, he's probably our 4th best reliever. And I'm a big Ron fan. And like you said, he's ice cold. The dude gets up there on the mound. He's not phased. He just takes the bump and does his job. That's why his nickname Ron the Don is so fitting. This dude handles business, doesn't create a scuffle, and just does things behind closed doors. And then you look and it's like, wow, the Don once again delivered. So I'm excited for Marinaccio. Like, he and Weissert, in my opinion, kind of go hand in hand with when talking about this bullpen. Both guys going to be making about $720K, and both guys are going to have now, this will be their 2nd season in the bullpen. For Marinaccio, he actually had a season. For Weissert, it was 15, 12 innings or something like that. But I'm excited for Marinaccio because of the fact that he fits the mold of what a Yankee player is. Like you said, that no fear, that no nonsense. He's happy to pitch for the Yankees. You could tell that wearing the pinstripes means something to him. I mean, we say it every time we talk about him. Tom's River kid. This dude's homegrown, as they get. So you can tell he's not going to waste any of his opportunities. He did extremely well last year, surrendered 2 home runs all season, and one of them was a Michael K. jinx. So
I'm a huge fan of Marinaccio. I think I think all of us, me, you, Ryan, and Sam, who's newly added to the team, I think we can all agree he's going to have a big, big role this upcoming season. And another guy, you just mentioned Greg Weissert, $720K, another minimum salary guy. You mentioned that before, as the episode just began, a lot of people are like, we don't even know if he's going to make the roster. We don't even know if he's going to be good. Let me give you a little insight into how he finished the year, because Greg Weissert, as you said, throws the ball like it's a freaking Frisbee. You don't find guys that produce movement like this. This is a special player, guys, that he's going to be very, very impactful for us. I see him as an impact player moving forward. Now, he did finish with a 5.56 ERA with an 8.74 strikeouts per 9 rate. But let me give you a little bit of insight. He didn't allow a hit in his last 4 appearances for the Yankees. So it took him a little while to actually get into the groove, settle down, shake out the jitters, like every young pitcher kind of goes through. Marinaccio, his first outing, he got absolutely hammered. And then he was electric the rest of the way. So Weissert, you see this young player with really ridiculous stuff, and he gets batted around a little bit. He's trying to find his groove, trying to find out where his pitches lie, trying to get control, adjust to the atmosphere of being a Yankee. And he did eventually at the end of the season, right? He was elected to play in the postseason. I don't think he actually made any appearances. Maybe he had one, but he was on that roster during the postseason. I don't think he did. But you look at what he has and what he did to end the season, 4 consecutive appearances, didn't allow a hit. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about Greg Weissert. He started slow, but he finished strong, which indicates maybe he'll start strong after he got the jitters out last year, and he can be an impact arm for us. But $720K for him, say less. That is an absolute great deal. I mean, he's doesn't even have any service time at this point, really. So this is a guy we're going to have for a very long time, and he has some of the nastiest stuff on this entire roster.
Yeah, no, he has some of the nastiest stuff. Like, I mean, Ryan is probably the biggest fan of Stuff Plus, other than I believe, Cyrus, who came up with Stuff Plus. And he in Stuff Plus is basically like looking at how good of stuff he has compared to the rest of the league. Like 100 is bang average. His slider is 190.6. This pitch is basically double as good as the average pitch in baseball. So you want to tell me that he doesn't have a place in this team? Like, there's just no way. I like Lou Trevino. I still think we bring Lou Trevino back on a minor league deal. You can never have too much depth. But if Weissert's not on this opening day bullpen, I have to see someone that's like objectively better than him in there. Like, so help me God, if we see Abreu somehow sneak into the bullpen again, I'm going to lose my mind. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, Abreu, and Ryan's a big Abreu fan, actually, because he has really high velocity.
I know he is.
So we could have conflicting, disagreements here, but I'll tell you what. Albert Abreu is a guy that I like to have around in case you need him as a last resort.
But
keep
he's
it
also
keep
probably
it
make
AAA
like a
level.
milli 2 max.
Right. And the thing is, it's all location issues with Abreu, right? He can hit triple digits with his fastball. It's all location issues, which are quite bad at times. But when he's on, he's unhittable. You can't hit him if he's dotting those corners. But obviously, like it maybe 1 out of every 5 appearances he's dotting those corners. Other times,
like let me ask you, like if you had to choose between Weissert or Abreu to take, let's say, the last spot in that bullpen, who would you choose? It's got to be Weissert, right?
Right now, it really that's the question. Do you? So okay, this is actually a big like pitching fundamentals question. Would you rather go with velocity or movement? You know what I mean? Would you rather go with break or velocity? This is the question, because velocity it can be erratic, but you're probably not going to make the best contact off of velocity because you have to react quicker. I mean, breaking stuff, if you sit on it and you get one that's coming in at 82, 83 and it's breaking across the middle, you could launch one. You know what I mean? Like, I think high velocity.
What happened to Weissdog? Weissdog missed his spot a lot of time with that disgusting frisbee slider, and it just hung, and it's like, good night. And that's why he struggled for the first like 7 games he played in. Like, it was just like, all right, dude, clearly your fastball is not able to live up to it right now. You're struggling finding location on it. And then your best pitch, your slider, when you miss, but when he doesn't miss, it's like careful. It's got 20 inches of break on it. This thing just like hurls across the plate. We were talking about Marinaccio's break, and this slider is easily like I think it's one of the best breaking pitches in the Yankee bullpen. Like, that's how good this dude can be. It reminds me of like Loaisiga's and even like Clay Holmes, who when he used to throw the slider. Now he just basically throws entirely sinker, but the occasional slider mixed in there. But I don't know. We can talk about Clay Holmes next as well, because that's another guy that's on this list. I mean, Clay Holmes is making the most, isn't he, on this? Yeah, $3.5 million for Clay Holmes.
Yep.
That's the ridiculous. Most out of these guys, and that's insane because Clay Holmes is elite. I know he like sputtered for like a month there, and then he took his
injury and
yeah. But then he came back and Clay Holmes solid. He's not. I will say he's not a 1 ERA pitcher. Like, that was like when he pitched the first 2 or 3 months of the season last year. It was absurd how good he was. But Clay Holmes to sit around a 3 ERA, lock down, say 30 saves, because I do think we're going to kind of do a little bit of like closer by committee here. Like, I'm very excited about Clay Holmes this season. People are like, oh, he fell off. He's not that great. He got exposed. Again, remember, we gave up, I believe, Diogo Castillo and Hoyjun Park for him. So let's, again, hats off to Cashman once more, because these are all guys that are going to have pivotal roles in the bullpen. Clay Holmes is going to see at least 50, 60 innings this season, no matter what. So these guys are going to play huge roles, and we got them for basically nothing, kind of like looking back at Wandy. And they're costing us basically nothing. So it's like, I don't know how people can even hate on Clay Holmes at this point. The dude has broken every possible expectation, shattered expectations of what he was going to be when he joined the Yankees. He had like a 5 ERA with the Pirates, and everyone's like, what are we doing?
Look, Clay Holmes is our cemented closer right now, right? He is probably when he's on, he's our best bullpen arm. You know what I mean? Like, he was electric. You're not going to get much better than him at his top. Now, at $3.5 million projected salary, That's probably the most expensive on this entire bullpen. During the second half of that season, I think he was dealing with that injury that really hurt his fundamentals. You could see he was just off. Like, he did not look comfortable. His accuracy was just not good. And I think that just doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? Like, people were shitting on Frankie Montas. People were shitting on Loaisiga to open the year. And then you start to realize, like,
it's
well, that's
insane.
People hate Montas, but I don't understand it because,
He
you know,
was
and Ryan
injured.
is in the same boat. He was injured. Look, someone actually posted a video. I don't remember who it was. They posted a video of Oakland versus the Yankees, and his fundamentals like looked different. And it probably was because he was trying to overcompensate because he was injured. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Clay Holmes, his entire fundamentals, he was so off. He looked different the second half of the year. Now he's going to be healthy. He still managed. Look, he had a bad second half after the All-Star break, and he still finished with a 2.54 ERA, 2.90 xFIP, 9 strikeouts per 9, 63.2 innings. Guys, like, this is a legitimate closer. This is a guy who is going to make Aroldis Chapman look like an afterthought, and at least not Chapman in his prime. Chapman last year,
prime Chapman.
Thank God he's gone.
Right, last 2 years of the Yankees. Oh God, get out of here, please.
Last 2 years. Aroldis Chapman in his prime is another beast.
Losing games. See, that's the thing. Clay also, he had to think 1 or 2 games where it was like blown saves. Like, Clay didn't go out there and just completely screw up countless times and then just get chance after chance after chance. Like, when Clay was struggling, the Yankees elected to go to other guys, and then they phantom IL'd him. So it's like, it seems like the Yankees understood, hey, this isn't the real Clay Holmes right now when he was struggling. They're like, we need you to get right and get ready for the end of the season push and get ready for the postseason. And he ended up performing decently well when he came back from injury. So it's like, I believe in Clay Holmes. I think he's going to be, the only reason I said that he may be a closer by committee is because that's kind of how this Yankees team is. Like, last year, he did take over that closer role, but think about how long it took for them to be like, Aroldis Chapman, you're not our closer anymore. And think about how Chappie reacted to that. So it's like, the Yankees may just like to say, hey, yeah, Clay's our closer in writing. And then some points in the season, we'll see Wandy close games. We'll see Mike King, when he's healthy, close games, who I'm excited to talk about at the end here. And then we'll also see Jonathan Loaisiga probably close some games. Like you said at the beginning of the episode, the Yankees have 4, maybe 5 guys that could close games. This bullpen is remarkably deep.
It's unbelievably deep. And you know, when you're looking at, and this is another guy we haven't even discussed yet. And this, I mean, how many, this team has so many closers, right? You mentioned Loaisiga, you mentioned Clay Holmes. You could even look at Marinaccio. He's capable of it. We looked at Wandy Peralta. You know who actually might be our best closer? You want to know? I bet you know.
Please incite me.
Michael King.
Didn't
talk about this guy yet.
Yeah.
Didn't even talk about Michael King.
He's healthy
1.75.
The dude's he was insane last year. He is, in my opinion, the best showing of the Matt Blake project. Like, Clay Holmes, it was remarkable what Matt Blake was able to do with him because he forced him to say, hey, abandon your changeup, throw sinker 90% of the time, and mix in the slider when that's not working. But Michael King, he also learned some from Corey Kluber as well. When Klubot came over, he learned about his whirly-turly slurve ball. But you look at how King throws now. And it's no longer that kind of, he's trying to find his pitch to get him by. It's, okay, he's going to throw sinker, fastball, slider. That's his pitches. And you are slurve ball, I guess, the whirly-turly. The whirly-twirly, Nick. And you watch him throw, and it's like, this guy is just pitching with confidence and charisma now. And he was godly for us last year. Until, guess who? Aroldis Doofus came in and forced him to come into the game on short rest, and he got injured. It's same shit, different game with Aroldis Chapman. But Mike King, I have, again, it's hard because it sounds like I'm being a homer and we're being homers in this episode. But if these guys were on any other team, they'd be talked about as like sleeper bullpen arms that are like elite guys that deserve more credit. Like, you throw King on the Reds, last season the Reds are probably getting a top 25 prospect for Michael King. Like, he's insane. Yeah.
Michael King is making $1.75 million in projected salary this upcoming season. You know, coming off, I think he avoided Tommy John surgery.
He did.
Scott Efros,
he may miss the first
Tommy
month,
John.
but who cares?
That's fine. Look, as long as he's 100% when we get him back, that's all I care about. 27 years old. He was trending towards an all-star appearance. 2.29 ERA when he went down. 2.42 xFIP. 11.65 strikeouts per 9. He pitched 51 innings before that injury happened. Think about how ridiculous that is.
Insane.
Like, he pitched half the year. 51. That's like he almost pitched as much as freaking. He would have pitched as much as Severino did as a starter last year if he would have been healthy the entire season. Now the elbow injury, it's significant. The steamer projections have him at a 3.26 ERA over 58 innings, which is still solid. If he finished at 3.26, if anybody finished with a 3.26 ERA out of the bullpen, I'd be like, that was a pretty good performance. It wasn't bad. It's probably like, it's good. It's like not high leverage, it's not low leverage, it's just leverage. It's just good. I'm content with that. Michael King is much better than that, though. They're only putting him at 3.26 because of the injury. He's capable of a 2.5. He's capable of a 2.6. I think 2.29 is a little bit low. Fatigue settles in toward the end of the year. We saw a lot of these guys have hiccups down the stretch, but big fan of Michael King. He's a guy that, when he gets back from injury, and he'll be fine, he's going to be good to go next year. Yeah. This is someone that you can rely on. If we needed him in the playoffs badly, we severely missed him.
Dude, the way we handled the playoffs bullpen was so crazy to me still. Like, I know King was injured, but again, the decision not to bring along Marinaccio is something that haunts me to this day, especially seeing how we decided to, in pivotal moments, use like Clark Schmidt and Frankie Montas, who I am fans of, don't get me wrong. But in those moments, they were not the correct decisions. And it's because we didn't really know what else to do. The bullpen was damaged. We didn't know how we were looking. We had bats that were damaged. Like Giancarlo wasn't healthy. Matt Carpenter wasn't healthy. But for Michael King, the craziest thing to me is that this guy was a guy that was a starting pitcher, still wanted to be starter, and was basically said, look, we have so many guys in the rotation. We don't think you're built for starting, but you're still going to get your cake and eat it too out of the bullpen. And he, like you said, for him, there is no like situation to use Mike King in. He's used in every situation possible. This guy was used as a long reliever, spot starter, 2 or 3 inning guy to get to the back end of the game. And also 8th, 9th inning guy. So Michael King is, in my opinion, the most talented out of all the bullpen arms we're talking about today. Like his makeup, his pitch mix, his repertoire, and the way he pitches, there's no one else like him on the team, honestly. Like we talked about Marinaccio's no fear, Michael King's the exact same way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And to finish off this, episode talking about the last bullpen arm on our mind, Jonathan Loaisiga, this is another guy who is at the top of his game, is elite. In 2021, 2.17 ERA, 3.15 xFIP, 8.79 strikeouts per 9, 70.2 innings. The shoulder injury last year at the beginning of the season completely disrupted his flow. He really started to lock it down towards the end of the year and was looking like his normal self after he kind of got rid of the injury. He's projected to make $2 million next year, guys. $2 million. I mean, come on. $2 million for a healthy...
Like what?
20 exactly. All these guys are under 30 years old for the most part. I think.
Wandy's the oldest one we talked about. Maybe Holmes. Yeah. I think Holmes is like 29 too. But like, someone I saw a comment on the we posted on Twitter as well about the projected salary for everyone in the impact salary, and someone said, "Well, you got to realize some of these guys are free agents at the end of next season." Okay, so it's not like they're like old guys. You could give Wandy Peralta probably a 3-year, $21 million deal, and I'd be thrilled. I'd be beyond happy. And that's still not that much money allocated to a bullpen arm. So it's like this team, and like you said, we're talking about, we got so many other guys that are like used as depth in the minor leagues. Like I think Carson Coleman, who's the, I believe, AAA closer at this point, could also make a sneaky appearance into this bullpen this season. Like if one of these guys goes down, the Yankees still have plans to pack them up. And last season, we saw what happened when Loaisiga went down. It was like, oh, is this just kind of how Loaisiga is now? And then you see him come back from the injury, and you're like, oh, no, this is Loaisiga. This is the guy we were expecting. I mean, look at his splits. First half of the season, he pitched 18 innings and they gave up a 300 batting average and a 419 slugging to opposing batters. Second half, he pitched 29 2/3, gave up 191 and 201. The dude he took the biggest steps possible in the second half. First half, 8.7 FIP. Second half, 2.9 FIP. Like, you saw the real Loaisiga last season when he was healthy. And that's kind of been the mantra for a lot of these guys in this episode. When they're fully healthy, you can tell the difference between when they're struggling through injury. Even Marinaccio, you could tell when he was struggling with that shoulder injury. And then at the end of the season, you could see he wasn't right with that shin. Clay Holmes, Michael King, when he got hurt, it was like there are all sorts of telltale signs about when these guys are like not on their A game. But when they're on their A game, this bullpen goes toe-to-toe with everyone. And honestly, it doesn't just go toe-to-toe with them, sizes them up and knocks them out.
Look, yeah, you're right. And Loaisiga is someone, if he's at the top of his game, I mean, look, we've already talked about 6 guys. We didn't talk about Lou Trevino that much. He's a guy that also was pretty important for us down the stretch last year. I think a 1.61 ERA.
And he'll probably be making like a milli 5. Like,
yeah, not much at all. Not much. So I'm excited to see what this bullpen kind of does next year. They have a lot of talent. They're all healthy and playing well. There are some of these guys that would be the best arm on any team. You know what I mean? Like the best bullpen arm on a lot of teams in baseball.
Like even Weissert would be being heralded as this huge like prospect that no one's ever heard of that's making a name for himself on some random team. Like look at what Scott Schreiber did last year. Yeah, like look at what Scott Schreiber did last year, or Scott Schreiber did last year with the Red Sox, where he literally just came out of nowhere and was otherworldly. And everyone talked about how good he was and how underrated he was and how underappreciated he was. If Greg Weissert has that season this year, I guarantee you people can be like, well, he's just another bullpen arm. Who cares? He's a Yankee bullpen guy. It's that double bias, dude. Everyone hates the Yankees. They love to hate us because they ain't us.
Well, yeah. Well, we have a lot of expectations for this team.
True.
I'm extremely optimistic about all these players, especially at such a cheap price point, specifically. But guys, I'd love to hear perspectives and opinions below in the YouTube comments. Definitely a lot to talk about regarding these specific players. Really, really fun. But you know, Jesus, I think I just hit puberty.
I got the same thing, dude. I got the sniffles and a little bit of a scratchy throat.
It like got progressively worse as I was talking
about Weissert. Oh, you're saying that he's so good.
Unbelievable. Wow. Okay, I'm back. Okay. I'm 26 again. No, I'm not 14 again. Oh my God, that was crazy. But guys, I'd love to hear perspectives below in the YouTube comments about these players and the unbelievable cheap price point of all of them. This is an exciting situation for the Yankees to have. And they have a lot of these guys locked up for more years. And guys like Marinaccio and Weissert, they're locked up for the next 4 or 5 years, 6 years even. They're not even close to Scott Efros when he comes back. Not even a full year of service time for him yet. Or maybe,
he may be ready for the postseason too.
Maybe that would be awesome. And you know, they're doing a lot of these things like with Zach Britton now. They actually tried different methods of constructive like surgery for your elbow that require less healing time. I think it's more experimental, but there are like talks that they have figured out a more efficient way to return from those UCL injuries in faster amount of time. So that should be interesting to see. We'll see how they approach this, but maybe they'll just do I think they just did the traditional method, which usually takes about a year to return from fully. But yeah, again, love to hear perspectives below on this bullpen, any specific guys, any price tags or whatnot, any questions you guys might have about it, we'll answer in future episodes, of course. Make sure to have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.